Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We'll be continuing from, that is chapter 6, the Yoga of Self-Control, and we will be learning about a detailed description of Dhyan Yoga. We finished till verse 21. Now we'll continue from verse 22 onwards. Chapter 6, verse 22. And having obtained, which he does not reckon any other gain as greater than that, and established in which he is not shaken even by the heaviest of sorrows. Just a quick recap. In the last satsang, the last verse which we did was, Lord Shri Krishna was explaining to Arjuna about how in yogi, that is through dhyana yoga, when he attains the truth, when he is established in that yoga, he does not move away from the truth on any account. Come what may, he's so firm, that is after establishing himself in that truth, that is God realization or self-realization, or you can also say union with the Divine Lord. When he's established in that truth, he does not get, he doesn't move away from that at any point in time throughout his bodily existence on this material world. It is firm for him. Nothing can deter him from moving away from that truth in this world. So he's saying, and having obtained, which he does not reckon, means what? Having obtained, we say it is actually unachievable, but yeah, he has achieved it. The unattainable is attained by him. Why do we say it is unattainable? It's actually not unattainable. You can attain. That is what Lord Shri Krishna has been teaching Arjuna, that you have to follow the path. You have to follow certain methods. There are certain sadhana, that is practices that you have to do. So once you perform all of that, then you will be able to achieve. That is what he's teaching here. But for human beings, it feels it is unattainable. It is something that is impossible. Why do we say it is impossible? Because we believe we are incapable of putting that effort. See, it's all about hard work, right? It is about putting the effort, and a human being doesn't want to put effort. He doesn't want to do. So, if you see the word impossible, it says, I am possible. I gave you a very beautiful story about how this mountaineer made this project possible and he achieved it. Why? Because he believed in it, that he is capable of doing it. Yeah, you are going to be tested. There are going to be challenges on the way. You think it's going to come easy to you? No, it's not going to come easy. That's what he's also teaching here. But how much of grit, determination, how much of faith you have it in yourself and the Divine Lord, the divinity, and then you say, okay, no matter what happens, I am not going to deter from the path. I am going to go ahead. It's same thing here also, Lord Shri Krishna's teaching. Now he has given different means, ways of how do you attain that ultimate goal of supreme bliss or God realization. And he's telling, once you have achieved that unattainable, and in that truth, you're so fixed that nothing, whatever, come what may, nothing will deter you, no matter what happens. Even people might come and tell you, oh no, all that is nonsense, it is not true, there is no God. People can come and give you all sorts of advice, opinions. They can say all sorts of things, but you will not deter from that truth. That is what he's saying. And once you have achieved that state, once you have obtained, and which he does not reckon, means what? You're not questioning it. You're not saying, oh no, this is not truth. I'm going to move away from the truth, is not what you're going to say. And he does not reckon any other gain. And what does it mean? He does not reckon any other gain as greater than that. You don't consider anything else as the greatest thing in this world. Any other gain means what? Something that you have achieved in your life, something you have gained. You don't consider your material worldly gains as something great. But attaining that God realization, you consider that to be the highest highest achievement of your life. And when you understand this and you believe firmly like this, then what happens? And established in which he is not shaken even by the heaviest of sorrows. This is very beautiful. What does he say here? And established in which he is not shaken even by the heaviest of the sorrows. Once you're established in that truth, you don't consider anything else as greater than what you have achieved, what you have gained. That is God's realization. That understanding, will make you so strong that even when, you have the greatest of the sorrows, anything that happens in this world, you don't get shaken by it. You're not affected by it, which means you're able to face life. You know why? Because the truth is, everything that happens in the material world is unreal. It is just, it's like a dream. When you wake up from the dream is not real. Likewise, the world, the experiences that you're undergoing in the material world, you understand that it is only a dream. There is no truth to it. Truth is what? Everything is God alone. That I am the divine being. That God realization will tell you that whatever that you're experiencing in this material world is nothing but Maya alone. It's just an illusion. And you have to sleepwalk it. So this truth gives you that strength of facing whatever happens in your life. Even when the heaviest of the sorrows comes in your life, you're not shaken by it. You're not going to be afraid of it. This is very powerful lesson. Why? Because you imagine in your own life, I'm sure all of us have, faced a lot of trials and tribulations. We have had our own ups and downs in life. When something happens that is not a favorable event, you might have lost job, you might have lost your mother, you might have lost your money, something that is according to us is bad, and we are full of sorrow at that time. If you lose your beloved, or you lose your children, your son or daughter dies, or your dog dies, we are in that grief, we are in sorrow. At that time, what happens? You realize that this is just a dream. It is not real. But what we fail to understand is that because we don't have the understanding of that truth, as a human being, we get affected. We get deep in that sorrow. We are crying, we are feeling miserable. We keep thinking about, this, whatever we have lost for days and months and years as well. We live in those memories. We live in those bitterness. We live in that suffering of those sorrows that we go through. But why should we? There's a question you have to ask. This life is like a game. You're playing just a game. Have you played the snake and ladder, or have you played the Ludo? See, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you climb till, 99. Just before that, there's a snake. And after all, climbing all that way up, you get bitten by the snake and you come down. So what does it tell you? See, these are all part and parcel of our existence in the material world. So you just have to take it, life is like a game, and just play it, and not get so carried away in that you're going to suffer the miseries that happens along the way. See, suffering is part of life. Again, every satsang I'm actually giving this teachings of what my Krishna Guruji had written in his update, in his Facebook update. He says 3 things is permanent in our life, and that is death, sufferings and misery. So here Lord Shri Krishna is saying, when you realize the truth, you are not going to get shaken even by the heaviest of the sorrows. What does that tell you? When you know the truth about this life, then you don't have to fear anything. And you're not going to be shaken by the heaviest of the sorrows. Even when you have so many challenges, too many sorrows come in your life, you're not going to be shaken by it. Because you understand the truth that that's not real. But to get that understanding, what do you need to achieve first? You need to achieve the God realization, that state. That truth is what you have to be established in. Until the time you're not established in the truth, you're going to be dithering. You know why? Because your mind is constantly, it is confused. It is doing this yo-yo. It gets, it always throws up fear for you. Oh, tomorrow something goes wrong. What's going to happen to my life? What will happen? What will the world say? It gives you too many um, scary imaginations. It gives you a scary picture of your future life. Oh, what's going to happen? But when you have this realization, that is God's realization, when you understand that everything is just nothing but an illusion of Maya alone, you're not going to feel afraid of anything in this world. On the contrary, you will accept your life the way it is and keep going ahead. And when you keep going ahead, what happens? You're only a tool, you're a mere tool in the hands of the divine Lord. You're here to serve his purpose, and you will do your job to the highest of your God-given abilities. You will perform to the highest of your potentials, and your productivity will be the highest. But then what happens? If you don't have this understanding, then you're not going to be self-motivated. See, self-motivation is very important. We motivate ourselves, and then sometimes what happens? You hear your mind, listens to something which is not right, or it creates a thought to itself. Oh, what happens if I lose this? What happens tomorrow if I don't succeed? The fear of failure is very common in a human being. The mind doesn't like want to lose or fail. So the mind is constantly seeking to win alone. See, that is why in the last chapter, in this chapter, Lord Shri Krishna is teaching one very important lesson, and that is to have equanimity of mind. And most importantly, we are not supposed to get attached to the fruits of our action, which is the end result. How should it matter whether you succeed or fail? How should you matter you win or lose? It doesn't matter. See, at the end of the day, your job is to just do your duty alone. You're not going to be bothered about the fruits of the action. But if you get attached to the fruits of the action, then you're going to suffer very badly. That is why Lord Shri Krishna is also teaching Arjuna, saying that Arjuna, just lift your bow and arrow and shoot. Don't be afraid. At this moment in time, don't be grief-stricken. He's saying even if the heaviest of the sorrows come in your life, you're not going to be shaken by it. But right now Arjuna is shaken. He's not lifting his bow and arrow and shooting. He has to fight the war. It is a Kshatriya dharma, and he's refusing to fight. That's not right. That is why Lord Shri Krishna had to impart to Arjuna this most esoteric knowledge, the profound truth. But do you think it is so easy for us to understand? No, it is not. You know why? The mind is very strong. The mind is constantly throwing those fears, those doubts, and it's creating imaginations or scenes of life which is actually not real at all. Those things might not even happen, but it is only a creation of your mind, which makes you believe something like that. Oh, I might lose everybody, I might fail, everything will go for a toss. All that kind of scenarios are being played by your mind. It's only an imagination. It's a creation of your mind. So don't believe in it. You have to understand the truth that God is with you. Lord Shri Krishna is with Arjuna. So what can befall you? Can anything go wrong? When you're serving the purpose of the divine Lord, don't you think the Lord is going to work with you, and his universe is all going to be working behind you and with you in every direction possible? Of course, yes. And this is one conviction that we don't remember at that moment in time. You know why? Fear overrides it. But what should you do? Your faith has to be so strong. Your conviction in the divine has to be so atal. Atal means absolute, that none of these thoughts can ever deter you from the path. That is what is saying here, right? The yogi wherein established in that truth, the yogi moves not from the truth on any account. He doesn't move at all. So no matter what you say, whatever sorrows happen, whatever happens in his life, he's very firm. And that is the state we have to achieve. And if you don't achieve the state, it's very difficult to live and perform in this material world. We'll also become like an ordinary human being, where suffering will become a part of our life. Miseries are there, and we are going to constantly feel afraid, and then one day finally death will strike us and we'll die. And then what happens? We will sanction ourselves many lives of birth and death, which means we are going to be born again and again. Sorry. So why do you want to get into the cycle of this birth and death? Can you not redeem yourself? That is what he's teaching. So let us continue. That state called yoga, which is free from the contact of sorrow, in the form of transmigration, should be known. Nay, this yoga should be resolutely practiced with an unwearied mind. Wow, very beautiful. What is he telling here? He's saying that state called yoga, which is yoga means union with the divine Lord, which is free from the contact of sorrow. In that state, there is no sorrow at all. See, he's telling something very nice to Arjuna, which is free from the contact of sorrow. Even if you come in contact of sorrow, it doesn't affect you. That is that state. You know how beautiful it is? I'm sure everybody who's listening to this satsang also want to become free like this. Free, from the contact of sorrow in the form of transmigration. Transmigration means what? You will move from one body to another body. But having realized God, that transmigration doesn't happen. You have already, cut the cord right there. So what happens? You're perfectly established in that blissful state and no sorrow affects you at all. Even when you come in the contact, which is free from the contact of sorrow. So which is free. So there is no sorrow in that state at all. There is no sorrow which will you ever experience. Should be known. He's saying this should be understood by you. Nay, this yoga should be resolutely practiced with an unwearied mind. See, again there is a condition that is putting here. What is he saying? Nay, this yoga should be resolutely practiced with an unwearied mind. Unwearied mind means what? You can't have any worries in your mind. You can't keep thinking about, what is going to be my future, what is going to be tomorrow. You're not going to feel irritated, agitated, turbulent, and all sorts of thoughts of the material worldly existence goes on and on and on in your mind. Your mind has to be serene, it has to be calm, and only then can you practice this yoga, not otherwise. Dhyan yoga, he has already given you the prerequisites. There are certain conditions for who can practice this yoga, which is first is a person who's not excessively eating, or somebody who's not excessively not eating as well and just fasting all along. Then you can't sleep you can't sleep a lot. Oversleeping also is not allowed, or somebody who's awake all the time, that is also not allowed. Your diet must be regulated. You can't have anything in excess. You can't go after having fun, merrymaking. Excess in anything is not acceptable. So a person who's doing indulging himself in all the extremes, doing excessively, whatever, if you're overeating or you're going to go and have fun, you're drinking, none of these things is acceptable, because the body is not then fit for doing this practice, the Dhyan yoga, which is also known as Raj yoga. So you have to be living a disciplined life, which means you eat in time, you drink in time, you do everything in time, you're disciplined, you're waking up in time, you're doing all your activities which is required for you to have a healthy body, mind and spirit. And if you don't have any of these things, then you don't fit in this category at all. That person, that individual, that body is not qualified to do Dhyan yoga. And most important in that individual, what the person has to achieve first is, conquering the mind, body and senses, calmness of mind. The serenity of mind is very important, which means you have to also give up the thoughts of the world, that is sankalpas. You have to first give up all that. You have to first get your mind to, the centeredness, that equanimity of mind should be there. There should be no thoughts of whatever is happening in your world. You have to first get rid of all that, and then you have to start practicing it. And when you practice this yoga, then you will attain that truth, that God realization. And in that state, then you're not going to experience any sorrow. You're going to be free from the contact of sorrow. And then what happens? This yoga should be resolutely practiced with an unwearied mind. Resolutely practiced with an unwearied mind means you have to very religiously, consistently, you have to practice it with an unwearied mind. Your mind cannot be disturbed or have any worries in it at any given point in time. And what is he saying? The word practice. You have to strive to practice this yoga as well, because without practice you can't attain anything. As simple as that. So let us continue. Completely renouncing all desires arising from sankalpas, that is thoughts of the world, and fully restraining all the senses from all sides of the mind. Exactly what we just discussed. What is he saying again? He's saying completely renouncing all desires arising from the thoughts of the world. So what is most important to overcome or give up? That is the thoughts of the world. Till the time you don't give up the thoughts of the world, you are going to suffer very badly. Why? Because your mind is full of desires. See, how do you get to the desires? What is that first you have to overcome? When the senses come in contact with the sense object, the moment it comes in contact, immediately your mind comes to play. But if you allow the mind to dwell on that sense objects, then you get attached to it. From attachment springs up desires. So where is the thing that you need to act immediately is first control of the senses. You should never allow your senses to go out. So what is he saying? Completely renouncing all desires arising from thoughts of the world. So these thoughts of the world happens within our mind alone. It could be a very simple desire as to, okay, I want to travel, I want to go to Paris, I want to buy a beautiful dress, I want to buy jewelry, I want to eat something. It could be as simple as that or as big as whatever the desire might be. A small desire to a big one. Everything is a desire alone. But that desire is going to keep you away from, reaching your goal. You can't achieve anything with your desires in your mind. Completely renouncing. What is he saying? He's not saying, oh, you can do 99.99%. No, completely. Completely means 100% renouncing all desires arising from the thoughts of the world. So where is the desires coming from? Thoughts of the world. How does it happen? We always have a way. The mind works in a very, very weird manner. If somebody is wearing a beautiful sari and you see that person has some jewelry, some nice sari, your mind says, you know what, you should have a better, that I should also have something like that, or I should have better than that. It's always, one up the against. You want to show that you're much better than that person, or you have more things than that person, and you can afford a better sari than the other person. So where it all begins is a comparison. In our world, we want to look better than other person. Why is this competition that is going to be there? Why do you have to compare yourself with somebody? So the moment you see somebody having something, then your mind also creates that jealousy, that the desire comes in. So those are the thoughts of the world, and that is where the desires spring up. And then what happens? Then you're constantly thinking of that sari that you want to, buy something better. So you're trying to tell your, father, mother, or husband, wife, whoever it is, or what, I want to buy that sari. I want to do this. The moment that desire is fulfilled, then something might be. Then you'll see a jewelry. Then you'll say, no, I need that jewelry as well. So when does your mind, renounces the desires which keep arising from the thoughts of the world. That is why it is said, when the senses come in contact with the sense object, you should not allow your mind to dwell on that. The moment you let it dwell, then attachment comes in, then from that comes in desires. It happens in fraction of a second, even before you have realized it. That is why here Lord Shri Krishna is saying something very beautiful. From now on, you should not allow it to happen, but whatever you have already let it happen, then you have to renounce it. It's completely renouncing all desires arising from the thoughts of the world. So how will you stop it? How will you overcome? See, when you understand the futility of life, you have to question yourself, for which you have to reason out. Why do I need that sari? What happens once I wear it? Okay, I'm going to wear, and everybody might say, oh, you look very beautiful. And then what happens? Then it becomes, once you're old, you've worn it, everything, you've possessed it, fine. Then it goes back in your cupboard. And then when are you going to wear that next time. So you have to ask how much more is enough for you, how much you need. Why do you need so much money? Why do you need so much clothes? Or why do you need so many different cars? Why do you need to own a fancy car? You have to always understand what it entails as well. If you buy expensive clothes or jewelry, you have to safeguard it. How will you safeguard your jewelry? You'll go to the bank, you'll have a locker, then you have to keep it. Imagine you're going to wear once in a blue moon, because of the pain of going to the locker, and then you have to bring it and then wear it. You feel, oh God, it's okay, I will wear what I have. That jewelry that you bought is going to just simply sit in your locker and hatch eggs. It's not going to hatch eggs also, because it's actually depreciating in the value. See, when you buy a jewelry and you're going to go sell, they'll always give you less. So please remember, there's no use to the jewelry. And in the current climatic conditions, with pandemic, thanks to pandemic, last 2 years, how many times have you worn a sari and gone to some wedding or attended some events? No, you have not. Or even worn the jewelry. But then why these people, why do they go buy so much? I went out yesterday and I saw that there was so much crowd outside the jewelers, all these big jewelry stores. I was wondering, wow, what are people buying? Why are they buying? But they just want to hoard. For what? Sometimes it could be as an investment, but sometimes you just want to fulfill your desire. It's all about desires, right? The sankalpas, the thoughts of the world. So how will you renounce? You have to first renounce. You have to understand the futility of all this. Imagine how much more headache you have to protect them, you have to save them, you have to take care of them. All that is a nightmare. Today, if somebody steals it and goes away, then it's going to cause you heartburns. Heartaches it's going to give you, right? Why do you need that kind of a misery to go through? So we need to understand that we don't need so much. You just need to live a simple life. When you understand the truth about life, then you're not going to run after all these things. And also you should ask yourself, there are so many people in this world who don't even have they can't afford even a square meal a day. They don't have roof on top of their head. They don't have even a pair of clothes to wear, a nice clothes. You see the conditions of people in the poor locality or in third world countries. It is very sad. The disparity of income is huge. So what are you doing about it? In what way can you contribute? What way can you do good to the society? Instead of buying the jewelry, can you think about doing something good in this world? Can you use that same money to donate to somebody, to donate to some charity, where that is going to make someone, bring a smile on someone's face. It's going to give some socio-economic empowerment or independence to some needy people. You should think like this. So ask yourself, how can you live a minimalistic and a simple life? Today the greed has destroyed the environment in our world. Why? Because of our insatiable desires. We want more, and most importantly, just not more but cheap as well. So this has given rise to industrialization, and industrialization has caused a huge harm to the environment. And what is happening today, a lot of issues have cropped up, and the world doesn't know. The people are trying to figure out, to come up with some solutions, but there is no solution at this moment in time. So what is that we need to do? We have to become responsible human beings, responsible citizens, so that we can minimize the contribution to the destruction of this environment. So can we have few things? Can we live simple life? So what is Lord Shri Krishna saying here is to completely renounce all desires arising from the thoughts of the world. So if you're able to renounce, then you're contributing, you're not going to be contributing to the destruction of this environment. You're going to also save. So like that, if we all become responsible in our life, we will be able to protect the environment. We will be able to save the environment so that our future generation can have a better world. What have we done? We have destroyed the natural resources because of our greed. Today, this pandemic is a way how the universe has reacted. The reason why today we are not able to go out, we are not able to be in public, in more than in a group or meet people, because we don't don't know where the virus can, come and attack us. So we're trying to be safe than sorry. So what does it tell you? That there is too much, upheaval that has happened in this world, and because of which the universe has put a stop. It's like a, the speed bump, right? It's the speed breaker where we all have been told to take a pause and look back and rethink why do we need so much. We're all running the rat race, not bothered about who's being affected in this world. We don't care about another human being. Why have we become so heartless? This is a question we have to ask. And then when you understand this truth, then you're not going to run after having too many things for yourself. We will also be thinking about the world. We will be thinking in terms of how do we contribute to the betterment of this society, the world, the nation, the people around us. Today, we don't think about everybody's wealth. We don't think about another individual at all. We're so self-centered people. I, me, myself is what we live in. So here is telling, completely renouncing all desires arising from thoughts of the world and fully restraining all the senses from all sides of the mind. So he's continuing. How do you achieve that yoga? That is Dhyan yoga, is what he's saying. But you have to overcome all of this and fully restraining all the senses from all sides of the mind. Don't allow the mind to dwell in the sense objects. When the senses come in contact with the sense object, it is only through when the senses come in contact with the sense object does the mind start dwelling in them. So control, restrain, fully restraining all the senses from all sides of the mind. So where is the mind? The mind is from head to toe. So you have to control from every aspect of your existence, this human body itself. Such kind of restrainment is very important so that you can, overcome, or renounce all the desires which arise from the thoughts. So let us continue. He should, through gradual practice, attain tranquility, and fixing the mind on God through reason, controlled by steadfastness, he should not think of anything else. What is the Lord telling here? He's saying he should, through gradual practice. He's not saying, one day you will be able to achieve this. Lord Sri Krishna didn't say to Arjuna that, you can achieve it overnight. No, it's not possible. Gradual practice means what? You have to practice every single day. Gradually it will happen. That is only through gradual practice. And you have to put a lot of effort. It's not going to be easy. You can't, overnight say, I'm going to control my mind, I'm going to overcome. It's next to impossible. Let us accept this. So you have to gradually practice it. Attain tranquility. He should, through gradual practice, attain tranquility. So practice is a very important thing. See, whatever we speak, whatever we understand, whatever we do, if we don't make a conscious effort to practice it, to every single day, make a little progress in our life, we are never going to achieve the tranquility of mind. The mind is always going to be muddled, it's going to be confused, it's going to be irritated, it's going to be turbulent and full of thoughts of the world. It's never going to be, in that state of equanimity of mind, state of centeredness. That oneness with the Divine Lord is never going to happen. Why? Because there is no tranquility in the mind. The mind is not serene, it's not calm, it's not peaceful. It's agitated. So you can't attain God realization at all. And then fixing the mind on God through reason, controlled by steadfastness. So how do you fix the mind on God? Through reason. I just explained to you that you have to first contemplate, reason it out, and once you understand, then you will be able to fix your mind, fix your mind, fixing the mind on God through reason controlled by steadfastness. Through reason controlled by steadfastness. He should not think of anything else. This is very, very interesting. See, what happens is our mind thinks everything else except fixing the mind on God. It doesn't think about God at all. Because people don't care about God. This morning, I was having a very interesting conversation with my Guruji. See, whenever I meet somebody, I always, as usual, the conversation happens and then people ask, so what you're doing, where you live, and at that time I'll say, in my personal life, I'm a spiritualist, I live with my Guruji, and then what is this Guruji and who's your Guruji? So when I explain to them, obviously they're not going to understand. They don't even know what it means, who is a guru. They don't understand even the the why a guru is needed or who is a guru. For them, God is not a priority at all. So they think it's an alien thing in life. Yeah, people talk about spirituality, and today it has become a very, it's the most abused word, and it's a fad word as well. And having this guru, in the modern times is like a concept. But we're not talking about the celebrity gurus. Here I'm talking about the real guru. So people don't really understand, and that time what happens is that they're not able to reason it out. So it's very difficult to talk to normal human beings because they think they know too much. So what is he saying here? Fixing the mind on God through reason controlled by steadfastness. So we need to reason it out. Why? What? But nobody does that. They don't even want to understand. See, knowledge comes to you when you are humble, when you show humility, and when you are submissive to receiving it. You have to become first submissive, and you have to get rid of your ego. You can't learn having ego and arrogance. It will never allow you. But in today's world, in the material world, if you look at people, the moment I say something, they think they know too much. They try to tell, I also have a guru, I do this, I do that. Yeah, everybody is talking in their own way. Why? Because they don't have knowledge. The right knowledge is missing there. And what happens? They are not reasoning it out. See, for them, God is something somewhere there. Some people believe, some people don't believe. But those who believe, they think God is there to give or fulfill their desires. They only go to God because they want something. Nobody goes to God saying, I want you. It's hardly any. They don't care about God. Why do they want to? They are only bothered about their selfish desires being fulfilled. So it's very hard to reason out. So my Guruji was telling me, stop discussing me with everybody else. You don't have to tell them about me, because they are not going to come to me because they want knowledge or they want something. They will not even believe in me. All they will think is they know too much. So this is the attitude of people. Why? Because they're not reasoning it out. Not just reasoning, but they don't want to, learn. They don't seek spirituality. They're not seeking spirituality for the sake of God realization. See, a lot of people want to go to, they seek spirituality for different reasons. There is a motivation behind why they want that. There are few people who will say, I want to be in spiritual. Why? Because they think it's escapism from material world. They don't want to do anything in the material world. But if you look at everything that Lord Sri Krishna has been teaching us, there is no escapism from doing your duties. You can't escape living in the material world just in the name of spirituality. You can't escape your duties, right? Here he's telling Arjuna, you have to do. But through your duties, you will be able to attain the supreme goal. And so he's imparting how should you perform. That is nishkama karma, selfless service, selfless action, and different. He has given ways and means. And also he has imparted 4 different yogas. See, we have learned Sankhya yoga, that is knowledge. Second one is karma yoga. Now he's teaching about dhyan yoga, and also the next one which is going to come is bhakti yoga. That is bhakti marg. So all these 4, and it all is interrelated. But here he's telling, no, you have an option just to be on the path of Jnana Yoga or on the path of Sankhya, that is Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga is one and the same, or no, Karma Yoga. You can be one of this, but if you really have understood this in depth, or if you have listened to all my satsangs in continuation, then you will realize that everything is interrelated. Because without knowledge, you can't perform your duties in the way you have to perform. Because there is a method how do you do your duties. It's not simply saying I will just do my duties. Because you know why? We as a mortal human beings are always bothered about our end result. So we always seek what is the end thing that is there, and that is why we are going to do our duty. Not because it is our duty. We are motivated with an end result. So here he's teaching how to do the karma in the right manner. And then what happens? Then he's talking about Dhyan Yoga. It's also a method. Okay, while you're performing, you have to renounce and all that he's teaching. And then next part comes is the Bhakti. So everything is interrelated. But everybody has a choice what the path you want to choose or how you want to be. That is up to you. Knowledge is what he's going to give to Arjuna, but doing is Arjuna's job. Lord Shri Krishna is not going to do for them. But please remember, at the end of the day, he's the substratum. Okay, he's the very substratum of the existence of this entire universe. So at the end of the day, everybody, whether they like it or not, they're already programmed to do it. But just saying I'm not going to do doesn't help anybody. So here also, he's saying fixing the mind on God through reason, controlled by steadfastness, he should not think of anything else. So stop thinking about anything else. Don't allow your mind to dwell on things that is not going to help you in any which ways. So, do the practice, gradual practice. Practice, then attain tranquility through gradual practice. Overnight, you can't achieve anything. That is next to impossible. Let us not joke ourselves, right? Let us not say, oh, we are capable of anything. It's not like that. You have to do everything gradually. Every day you have to work. You can't eat for 10 days on one day itself, right? You have to, every day you have to do things in the right manner. So you have to put in effort. Every single day you have to practice, and then reason, controlled by steadfastness. Reason it out. Why? Why should we do? What is the reason behind it? So when you understand these things, then your mind will come to that centeredness. Then you will be able to control your mind, and then your mind is not going to bring any thoughts. So then you will be able to overcome all the sankalpas, that is the thoughts of the material world or anything else. Then you are going to be focused in life. Otherwise, it is next to impossible. I'm sure all of us are in this boat. So I hope you enjoyed today's satsang. We'll continue from the next verse, that is 26, in the next satsang. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita satsang, the way of life, as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara, Shripad Vallabha Digambara, Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Nathaya Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.